and so to bed. Through a grueling 70-hour week, not fame but bonus is the spur. Over hill and dale, moor and fen, in an unrelenting race, an obstacle race. 60 river crossings, the pipe rearing over a mountain stream like some prehistoric monster. The River Thames at East Greenwich, where a straining tractor hauled 1,500 feet of pipe weighing 145 tons across the busiest waterway in the world. A few bubbles announced its safe arrival on the other bank. "56 railways, where the pipes were buried beneath the tracks, under the uninterrupted traffic with the blind directional certainty of a mole. 461 roads, sometimes under the beating heart of a major city. Ravines, where the pipes had to be strung across the sky before taking the usual path into the ground. Bog, across which the ton-weight pipes were hauled coolie fashion like boats up the Yangtze River, because the normal heavy equipment would have sunk completely out of sight. Swamp, into which the pipe was launched like a ship. Rock, from which the pipeliners launched themselves before dynamite did it for them. Soft subsoil, hard gravel, running sand, you name it. The pipeliners got it. "350 miles of pipeline over some of the most varied and difficult terrain in the world. On June the 22nd, 1963, at Barrow-in-Furness, the Methane Princess was launched by Mrs. Wood Prince, wife of William Wood Prince, on schedule, 12 years after the launching upon a skeptical world of the Wood Prince barge. At Canvey Island, the once green earth had disappeared under a chaos of steel and aluminium, out of which the methane terminal was rising like a symbol of a new order. Fiberglass protects the aluminium inner tank from pressure caused by expansion and contraction. And special lagging insulates the pipes and keeps the gas cold and liquid on its way from the tankers to the storage tanks. Fast taking shape, the jetty stretched out into deep water, where the methane tankers would be able to make fast alongside, even at low tide. On September the 19th, 1963, Lady Jones, wife of Sir Henry Jones, chairman of the Gas Council, launched the second tanker, the Methane Progress, from the yard of Holland and Wolff, Belfast, 4 months ahead of schedule. Later, the aluminium cargo tanks, in which the gas would travel, were transferred into the tanker's holds by floating crane, an extremely delicate operation at the mercy of wind and tide, requiring calm control on the part of both nature and man. In the distance, the Arzu liquefaction plant looked like a vision in a new Arabian Nights, in a pastoral scene, apparently unchanged as in 1,000 ages past. Close at hand, bulldozers and the stark functional architecture of the 20th century. Performed almost overnight, the work of untold years of wind and sand, burying forever the last lingering traces of the ancient past. On every front, the methane project was nearing completion. Not alone by the plans and calculations of engineers and administrators, but by the cheerful, blasphemous determination, the know-how, sweat and sheer brute strength of ordinary men. And suddenly, so it seemed, the job was done. The last trench filled in. The last ton of topsoil replaced. Along the pipeline, nature was already healing her wounds. Of the tearing and gouging and vast upheaval, scarcely a trace. No scar on the fair face of England's green and pleasant land. September 1964. The new plant at Azu was officially opened by Monsieur Ben Bella, President of Algeria. Alongside, the Methane Princess taking on her first cargo of natural gas for Britain. The plant covers an area of 100 acres, an industrial oasis in a still largely pastoral land. The plant liquefies 150 million cubic feet of natural gas per day, 100 million for the United Kingdom and 50 million for transportation to metropolitan France. Completed as planned. For the people of Algeria and for all the world outside, a new age began as the Methane Princess cast off with her first shipment of Algerian natural gas. On the jetty, its icy tracks were chipped away from the loading equipment. The first methane tanker in the world set sail for Britain. The Methane Princess and her sister ship, the Methane Progress, will between them make some 60 journeys a year between Azu and Canvey Island, bringing to Britain some 35,000 million cubic feet of natural gas, equivalent to 1/10 of the country's annual demand for town gas. In Britain, an increasingly diversified gas industry, already using coal and oil in its program of modernization and technological advance, now adds methane as a further choice of raw materials. The new methane terminal at Canvey Island will take delivery of 12,000 tons of liquid gas every 6 days, transmitting into the methane pipeline 94 million cubic feet of gas per day. The Methane Princess arrived at Canvey Island on October the 12th, 1964. The climax of a bold venture into the ocean transportation of natural gas, which pioneered a new development, not only in the history of natural gas, but in the entire field of world fuel resources. The boiling cold liquid steamed through the terminal pipes at journey's end. Like a sweating racehorse past the post, still a cool 160 degrees centigrade below, into the storage tanks. Later to be pumped into the evaporators to be converted back into gas, and finally into the new methane pipeline across the country. The gas, which for so long flared off to waste, now burns to some purpose in the homes and factories of Britain. So begins a new era in the history of fuel and power, of which the new methane tanker setting out on the return journey to Azu is the forerunner and the shape of things to come.